Well, huzzah and well met once again today to my technicians and great builders. And this video is actually going to be a bit of a special shout out to somebody who left a comment, Alex B3312. And Alex asked if I could demonstrate how they would design a sorting system for their iron farm that gives them squid inks, iron iron blocks. It starts off obviously as iron ingots, but we'll get to that. Strings from the cats, and bone blocks from the poppies being composted and turned into bone meal and then bone blocks. And I was happy to oblige because the last time I did something like this was the multi sorting factory demo, and I'm not even sure if I still have that one listed. But that was when crafters were still experimental and we were all learning about them. So, how is this going to go? Number one, I want to say I am perplexed at how your iron farm is giving you so much squid ink or squid ink sacks that you need a whole system for that, but it's okay. We'll figure this out. So, I'm going to have to link my other videos to all of these devices, and I have them all color coded so that we can keep track of what's doing what. So here we have a storage silo that is a series of chests. So anytime you have things go in to this silo, once the bottom chest is full and there is an item within this hopper, that will cause this redstone lamp to light up so you know just how much of a silo you have full. Anything that you take out of the bottom will be filled in by anything that's above it in the silo. There is another way to make a storage silo where the chests all sit out front, stacked atop each other, and you can easily access all of your stuff in one spot. This is a Shulker Box Loader, and I will, like I said, I'll be linking the videos to all of these, but it fills up a Shulker Box for you. This hopper is technically pointing into our piston here, which is a regular piston, not a sticky one, or at least it should be. And then this hopper loads the box, and once this comparator gets enough signal from our fully loaded shulker box, it will activate this redstone, which will activate this torch. And this should actually be in green as well, because it is technically part of the circuit. There we go. So this redstone will be activated by our comparator. Turn off this torch, turn off this redstone. The signal will come through and allow this torch to light, which will turn this torch off, and it will turn this redstone off as well. This will cause this block to be powered and turn this torch on, which will activate our piston, breaking our thing. We'll lose the signal, and it will reset to this state wherein this torch turns on, activates our dropper, which is going to be full of more shulker boxes for the load, or for the loading. And we can put an optional crafter in here with shulker box shells and chests to keep constructing another shulker box and placing it into the dispenser each time that this circuit is activated. So every time a box is loaded and broken and falls through the cobwebs into the hopper, and then here you will get this dispenser placing a new shulker box and a crafter placing another created shulker box into the dispenser for the next cycle. So when we place this hopper and this chest don't necessarily need to be here. You could use this hopper as this hopper here on top of the silo, or you could place the chest and then the hopper as we have it built over here, but we'll go over all of that in a little more detail when we look here. This is going to be our crafter circuit. Now, in the past, I have used a different one that's one wide and tileable, but it was discovered that when you use that one, the redstone dust in it will update when your world loads. So if you log into the world and start it up, the redstone will update, and the observer that looks for that update will actually try to fire the crafter in that circuit. Which, with iron has so many different possible uh, configurations in the crafting table that you might accidentally build yourself some iron bars or some nuggets or any number of different things depending on how the iron fell into your crafter. So how this circuit works, we don't get any of that. We have this comparator in subtract mode, and so when the signal it's getting from behind is more than the signal it's getting from the side here, the signal will be allowed to power this yellow block instead of being blocked by this second comparator and power this redstone dust, powering this repeater, powering this concrete block, and firing our crafter to make an iron block or a bone block in that other case. But bone blocks could turn into white dye for you as you uh, fire the crafter. So we're going to use this much more stable version of the auto crafter. So how we do this is we set this crafter up. You don't have to use a crafter. There's a couple other ways. You can use a composter that's filled to almost full to count as your signal strength of 9. Because the only time we want this to fire is when it is completely full. So we want all but one of these to be clicked. We want these blocked off and only one to be open, so that this is a signal strength of, I know there's a conversion rate, we're just going to call it 8 instead of the signal strength being out of 15. And we want, when this crafter sends a signal through the comparator of 9, it has just enough power to power that block, because a comparator in subtract mode takes the signal it gets from behind and subtracts the signal it gets from the side. So until there is enough power coming from behind, it is not going to power this yellow block until it has the full signal, which means then it will fire, crafting us our iron block or our bone block. Okay. A composter between two hoppers, fairly self-explanatory. We're going to use this for the poppies that the golems occasionally drop, and every now and then it will just fill up the composter and make bone meal that will fall into the box, and we'll send that along to our crafter. This is a sorting system. Now, very quickly, we need to do one little thing. In case you're not familiar with these sorting systems, we need an anvil, and it is eluding me at the moment. There they are. So we're going to get an anvil, and it does not matter what item you use here, but you need to rename an item. We're going to call it a hopper stopper, because I think it's very funny and clever. And how we're going to make this work is we're going to put these I did that wrong. Okay. Now, these two bottom hoppers are locked in our rest state here with our sorter. And what we have is we are detecting when this hopper on the very top gets another item in there. Actually, not one more item. We need one to sort. So we're going to pick, we'll just use our ink sac since it's currently part of the tutorial that we're doing. So as you can see, when it gets an extra item in here, that item falls through and it goes down to the bottom hopper. This comparator is checking the signal strength, and it gets just enough signal strength with that next ink sac to power this redstone dust on and depower this torch. So when it depowers the torch, that allows the item it unlocks this hopper and allows one single item to flow down before the signal strength is not enough and the torch turns back on. So I'll try and get this at an angle so you can see the torch turn on or turn off and then back on. Here we go. So watch the torch. You see it turn off when I place one of the items in there, and then the single ink sac is allowed to fall through. So those are the items we're going to be, or the devices we're going to be using. And just because I'm not sure I've done this all yet, we're going to name a few more of these. It doesn't matter what you name them as long as they can't be mixed up for another item. So don't place the dirt in here and call it iron bars or iron block or block of iron, because then the names will be confused. But anyways, it just needs to be different enough. And this is the ink sacs. You see this torch stays off as more ink sacs head down through here. We see them flowing into our shulker box, but we'll work on a demonstration in a minute here. So we have this crafter preset. It's the exact same circuit as here. And we're going to run all of our iron bars are going to go through this one. You can see they start draining for a minute until they get to where we need them to be. We have no crafter for this because this is just going to be string. But we once again need to name some dirt blocks. I probably should have done this ahead of time, but I forgot. Okay. You can adjust how many of the hopper stoppers you need and how many items are in there, but how this works is that we're going to have items flowing through this very top hopper line. This is going to come out of wherever your outload is for your iron farm. So wherever the items are collected, you're going to send them through a hopper line that goes right over top. And when an item passes over top of our sorting style ones, also be sure that you're putting your item to sort in the first slot. But our items will come across, and this hopper will try to pull any items down, and it will say, oh, I found an iron bar. Nope, can't do that. Ooh, I found an ink sac. And that will cause the ink sac to fall down and be allowed one ink sac to proceed into the rest of this silo, or the rest of this tower anyways. And finally, we already have this one set up. We want poppies to come down here, and they will go into the composter and get mulched. and then they will go to the crafter, where once again we'll have 9 set up, and it will make a bone block, which will fall into our Shulker Box Loader. Finally, at the very end here, we're just going to run things down to a disposal. This is a really simple unloader or dropper unloader that just points down into a lava uh, block and burns anything else that comes through. I don't know if you get wandering traders falling into your iron golem farm or what else happens, but now you have a way to get rid of any overflow. Um, this is obviously quite tall. I have used our concrete block colors for each individual circuit to show you what's here and what's not, and just how much space they take up. The Shulker Box Loader is optional, so we have this back here without Shulker Box Loaders. The crafter just feeds directly down into the silo, and we still want to have our sorters at the very top. And this has no crafter, just sorter straight down to silo. These will store an enormous amount of things with the Shulker Box Loaders. You can make these silos much taller. In fact, you could make them all the way up to build height if you wanted to. And that's 54 stacks of items in a large chest, plus 5 for each hopper. So you would have just tons and tons of space to store all of this stuff. And that's really all I have for this one. We can use these boxes. I'll show you what's in them here in a moment. I guess I didn't need to have 8, but we can do this. It's just all mixed stuff that would come out of your iron golem farm. And so you can see, we'll come over here and see that our iron ingots tower is flashing. You saw the crafter just light up, which means it fired, making the iron block. Oh, we can't look into those at the moment because the shulker box can't open. If we have them placed to the side, we can see them working, and we'll see the poppies here in a moment once this torch starts flashing. So simulating your iron golem farm with a bunch of shulker boxes full of those items is just as useful. And did we put the string in here? No, we did not. So we're going to have a bunch of string maybe going through directly to overflow at first, but that's all right. Now, we don't want to craft our string into wool blocks, or at least I never do, because there's no way to uncraft that. And there are options for sheep farms that are much more productive than using your string drops from an iron golem farm. Let's see about this a moment. We'll break that. Place that there so we can look. And you can see our crafter is crafting just iron blocks for us. But you saw that it cycles through 3 or 4 different recipes here that it could make, and we don't want our redstone updates to accidentally make us something we don't want. We want iron blocks for storage. So, every shulker box can hold 27 stacks, and you could have 54 shulker boxes in a single chest plus 5, so 59 shulker boxes per layer that you build this silo. So once again, this is your storage. Now, I thought this video would be useful just because I often deal in technical and theoretical redstone devices, and we talk a lot about moving your items, but it is good to see this stuff actually working every now and then to remind us that, these things have been tested or at least built by somebody, and it can often help if somebody needs like a crash course in how to do something like this. Now, once you get to this point, you can also cover up some of what you've done here and build around these things. Let's see if we can find. Yeah, there's birch stairs. All right. You can't put a block right here because then you can't open the chest, but you can put some stairs right here over your silo, still be able to open the chest as it goes. And you can decorate around these all you want. Just understand that if there's something that goes wrong with these, it takes a lot of destruction to get inside and fix things. But these are all some of my most favorite circuits because of their stability. They don't break very often, but it is still bedrock, and things do break. Or sometimes a wrong item can end up down the wrong way if you drop something. Like if you're working around here, well, I guess that doesn't work. But you could accidentally throw. Let's try and throw one in there. Now, I don't know if it made it. We'll look. See, you could get a birch stairs inside of there somehow. And that can mess up your system depending on where it ends up landing. But for the most part, these are highly stable circuits. So, once again, this video was for Alex B3312. I hope you found it helpful, and I hope any of you watching are blessed on your next quest, and I am off to my next adventure.